So like I said, women, especially when it comes to reproduction, always get the short end of the stick. Women's health is a very sore spot for a lot of people in my family because of gaslighting, invalidation, and fanalization that women experience. And being a white woman myself in my early 30s, I'm at the height of the totem pole when it comes to the hierarchy for people. White women are on the top of the hierarchy. They shouldn't be, but that's the world we live in. I did a lot of research into what groups are affected the most by abortion bans or reduced access to any form of medical health care or reproductive health care. It's an astounding result. Women of color, so African American women, are the most likely to suffer the most catastrophic or diverse types of results due to abortion bans. There's no evidence that I could find that abortion bans save human lives. In the last 24 months since Roe versus Wade was overturned by the Supreme Court, many research shows that abortion bans led to more unwanted or unsafe pregnancies which were carried to term, resulting in an increase in both live births and infant deaths. And you can Google that through the Johns Hopkins Public Health website. It's consistent. Anytime you remove access, information, or options in medical health care, anything from abortion, ultrasound, condoms, any form of birth control, whether natural or artificial, is always impacted by abortion bans. Now, you don't have to agree with abortion. It's your life. You can make whatever decisions you want. Voting people into office who then either outlaw it through executive orders or then appoint people who in turn vote to abolish abortion, I believe is responsible, at least morally and legally, for the deaths of women who live in red states, specifically in the Midwest or down toward the Gulf, which would be anywhere from Louisiana, Mississippi, Florida, Alabama, Georgia, all of those that connect to Texas, even Texas. Because when you remove bodily autonomy from women, whether you're male, female, or whatever group you're in, women suffer if they don't have choices. You don't have to like the choice. You don't have to support the choice. You don't have to vote to do anything with abortion. But electing people who appoint or vote to overturn women's autonomy, lowering life expectancy, increasing mortalities rates for women who are pregnant, are responsible for every woman who dies. Because how you vote does impact other people's lives. Everyone who voted for Trump is responsible for everything that Trump does, whether through ignorance, being informed, or having an agenda. Who you vote for and what they do is our responsibility, or, in my opinion, is a result of people making choices. It's a very bad choice to make, to elect people who remove or appoint people who remove women's rights. And that's why I always tell people, I have the right to decide to have or not have an abortion. I don't have the right to vote rights away. The UN would call it a violation of human rights, kind of like what's going on in Gaza. And conservative territories, counties, cities, states, regions, anywhere that is Republican primary are states with the highest infant mortality and mother vitality statistics, the highest poverty, the highest annual STI contractions, the lowest quality of life. Because the people who believe that Republicans or Republican leaders care about children, they don't. If that were true, they wouldn't be hiding the Epstein list. They wouldn't be tearing kids away from their family through ICE. If a woman can't make every decision about her body, how she's helped by doctors, who her insurance is, where she lives, who she marries, what she believes, and how she raises her children. If you live in a place that doesn't allow you to have as many rights, privileges, and opportunities that men have, then you're not seen as a complete human being. And I've been watching a lot of YouTube videos where many of the most popular, famous, charismatic, influential pastors who speak with the president or has a lot of influence over the key politicians in America, the way they speak about women is not something I would want near my children. And I don't have kids. I wouldn't want it near my nieces and nephews. Believing that women are only good for having children, making dinner, and being the secondary support of a family is not a man's decision. If you're a woman, whether biologically or you change into being a woman, you have the right to choose the life you want. You should not have to fly 1,000 miles from one side of the U.S. to the other to have basic human rights health care. If you have to leave your town, your city, your state for health care that should be available for any woman, regardless of age, gender, religion, race, we have a problem. And everyone is entitled to their own opinions. But I was taught as a child, you have all the freedom in the world, but it ends at somebody's nose. You have all the freedom in the world to say whatever you want, to do whatever you want, as long as you don't encroach on someone else's freedoms and ability to live their life. And in my opinion, people who vote to encroach on other people's choices, specifically women, are the reasons why some women who were pregnant are afraid of being arrested or are afraid that they won't survive pregnancy. My rights end at someone else's nose. I would never tell another woman what's right for her because I'm not her. The audacity of people telling someone else in person, online, or at the voting booth what they can't do or can do with their body is out of line. I don't care what religion you're a part of. I don't care what political party or what group you're a part of. Nobody has the right to take away someone else's rights unless you're convicted of a crime. But you still have some autonomy even in prison. You just don't have the autonomy and freedom free citizens have. Nobody has the right to tell another person how to live their life as long as it's legal. And in this country, there are several groups of people I know as hate groups that support certain politicians, and I think we know who I'm talking about, in the White House and in Congress, that believe that women are not completely human. A lot of people look at women the way they do an incompetent, underdeveloped child. Women don't need men to be taken seriously. Women don't need men to protect them. Women need to be protected from men and other women who won't let them make their own choices. Now, I'm sure I'm going to get some very nasty, homophobic, sexist comments specifically from Christians, because they're always the people that leave those comments. I have not received a single nasty comment from anyone who hasn't identified as Christian in the last 7 months on my channel. Yes, there is no hate like Christian love. Yes. And I'm not going to tell another person, man, female, or undecided, what their choices are. As long as they're not doing something illegal or unethical, where you can get in trouble with child services over. I don't tell people how to live. If they're risking their life, I might speak up and tell them to get out of the road before they die, but I don't tell other people, strangers, friends, or family, what to do. I'm too busy living my life, and I mind my own business. But there are religious and political groups out there, and there's a long list of hate groups out there. Some of them are churches. Some are, what do they call those places? Non-profit organizations, whether social, religious, communal, political, politics, political parties, any group that teaches people that you can make choices to control other people's lives is an enemy of democracy. And it's not just a male problem. Not all men are bad, any more than all women are good. But as long as you elect people who have traditional, extremist, fundamentalist, conservative beliefs, women's rights will not progress forward. They will regress. In the last 10 months, women's rights have been scaled back to the point, it's like we're living before Roe versus Wade, back in the 60s, where women couldn't have their own bank accounts, which is ironic because Trump signed an executive order a few weeks ago that women can't have credit cards. These people don't see women as fully functional, autonomous adults with their own agency. They see them as extensions of themselves. Not all conservatives view women that way, but their religion does. Christianity, Judeo-Christian values, has never been kind to women because they've always supported slavery, sexism, child marriage. I mean, you try to outlaw child marriage, like for people 15 to 18, the first people that speak out about encroachment of freedom of expression are Christians. I saw that a few years ago when I forget which state, but I know it was on the West Coast, where they tried to bring up and increase the legal age of consent for marriage to 18. The first group that angrily responded to this revelation in the political party were Christians. And anybody who doesn't want the age to be increased from 14 to 18 should not be around children. And religion does very little to boost and move forward feminism. Now, feminism means a lot of things to a lot of people. Not all feminism is good, any more than commercialism and capitalism is all good. But anything that holds women, society, and the LGBTQIA plus people back is not something we want. It's not something we should want. And women have lost some of their basic rights in less than a year. When you elect a man who openly admits to sexually assaulting women, what do you think you're gaining? I heard at least 20 plus women, I think it's 26, have come out against Trump. And anyone who says that it's not true are the same people who said it wasn't true with Epstein, Diddy, Weinstein, R. Kelly, I'm pretty sure. 26 people, and somebody still voted for him. I wouldn't vote for somebody who has one allegation. You shouldn't have to have one to mistrust somebody. 26. Where there's smoke, there's usually fire. And anytime you have a lot of women speaking out against somebody, every single time, they've either proven it or they can't prosecute because of statutes of limitations. A country that elects a sex offender, someone who openly on camera admits to treating women worse than an animal, we should be ashamed. I've read that since Trump was elected in November of last year, there have been many hate crime, a lot more hate groups created, and membership in hate groups have increased at least 25%. Misogyny has increased. Women have lost a lot by choosing Trump. Personally, I think I would choose any woman before Trump. I'd rather have Biden than Trump. Anybody that has a little bit of integrity and knows how to be in charge and treats women with respect, I would want any of those people before Trump. And our society does not value women. They value what women can give them. I mean, you look at Mother's Day. The ideal mother is someone who does free labor, rarely thanked, and usually spends their birthday or any major holiday working at home or working somewhere. Our country doesn't even have mandatory maternity. Our country doesn't pay women 3 days a month to have sick days for just being a woman having a certain monthly malady that I think 1 out of 5 women cannot leave their house because they have abnormal pain, pelvic pain. Countries in Europe that, in my opinion, are so further developed, better quality of life, offer their women a mandatory 3 days paid leave a month for any medical any reason that has to do with a medical malady. We are the only world power that does not offer their women 3 days minimum of paid, 3 days of paid vacation. Women in this country, to get an abortion and leave the state to go somewhere else, flip a coin whether or not they'll lose their job, because you have to take time getting there, having the operation, and they usually spend a week in a hotel room alone. Women risk the ability to provide for themselves, their kids, and their family getting an abortion because they have to go clear across the country for something that should be available a block away. And as long as men can do anything they want with reproduction, provided it's consensual, women should have the same options. I mean, you don't have to like it. You don't have to agree that women are people, because there are people out there that don't see women as human. Everyone has a right to their own opinion. Whether or not it's inhumane, it probably is. But nobody has a right to vote to take away people's rights. Because women losing access to abortion is killing women, killing unborn children. And banning abortion is a genocide. Hundreds of women have died. Not all women and children that die due to abortion bans or getting an exception can kill women. Waiting to get that exception approved by your state and your city kills women. And if you don't treat an existing woman well, why in the world would we want to bring a child into it? If the child is not going to be loved, cared for, wanted by themselves or by someone they're giving it to, the child is better off not being there. And conservatives have the idea that if you're conceived, you have a right to live. I think it's a lack of understanding or a lack of accountability when it comes to consent. Just because people consent to do something does not mean they consent to being pregnant, consent to having a baby, or consent to have the next 18 plus years of their life in spending $500,000 on somebody for the next 18 plus years. And if somebody makes a mistake and gets pregnant, they should have the right to decide they don't want to have children. There's nothing immoral or wrong with a woman deciding she's not ready. And before people in the comments say, well, then she shouldn't be having certain things, my response would be, she's most likely in a state that teaches abstinence-only education, which is a Christian Republican sexual education. It's pushed by them. So no wonder she's pregnant. The state